Welcome to Planet Earth. That's where you live. If you don't know that, then the school system has really failed you very badly. Don't worry, Mr. H is going to help you out. I'll get you back on track. I'm here with you. Here, my buddy, cat named Buddy. He's here. He's going to lend in his learned opinion every now and again. I had an email from somebody asked me. He said, "Hey, this strongest planet, the strongest country in history theme you have going here. You used to talk about that. We were hauling fish." Yeah, that's what I did. He said, "How much fish were you hauling?" Well, didn't you hear me? I said a ton, right? Literally a ton of fish. There's 2,000 pounds of fish. So I'm going to help you right now with a math lesson. Are you ready? Now, a ton is 2,000 pounds. Now, each crate of fish I was carrying was 50 pounds. So 50 and 50 is 100. 1,000 divided by 10, right? Divided by 100 is 10. So there's 10 trips. I had to make 20 trips. Yeah, 20 trips back and forth to the truck with it, 50 pounds. So, good workout. Walked about 50 yards. How long would that be? About 1,800 feet. So pretty close to a mile. It's a good workout. These days I just run and lift. No fish involved. But hey, it was easy. Just let your mind go on autopilot. Somebody check my math on there just in case I'm wrong. So how you guys doing today, man? It's been obvious. It's been an awesome week. It's going to be an awesome weekend, and I'm really glad you're here to hang out with me today. So when we were talking about the strongest country in history, at particular points in history, we were on Great Britain in 1800. And they didn't know they were the strongest country. They were fighting with France, a fight to the death. And in 1815, we finally get an answer. It had to go into overtime, as you can tell by this somewhat joyous cartoon, if you want to call it that, with Napoleon's head up on a pike. Yeah, Britain's going to win the Napoleonic Wars. He came back again, for Waterloo, but same result. They came in the same way, and we beat them the same way. Duke of Wellington. So Britain's on top of the world, 1800, 1815. By the middle of the century, look at that. Britain at its height right here. We got John Bull. Doesn't look like he's been doing a lot of exercise, but, hey, he's still on top of the world, and I tell you, the world has got to be pretty strong to be supporting all of that, right? By the time you get around to the late 19th century, hey, Britain has seriously expanded. It's taken over much of Africa. India is now pretty much under control every which way. It is really the empire on which the sun never sets. No matter where you are, the sun is shining on some piece of ground that the British own. So everything is looking great for Britain. But you know how this goes. You're on top one day, but somebody's always trying to push off the top of the hill. By 1900, yep, Britain's got some competition. It's been going on since about 1870. There's our friend Otto von Bismarck there with the pickle helm. Yeah, I don't know what that's about either. Something about intimidation or something. I don't know. It just looks weird to me, man. So Germany is united in 1871, and its industrial capacity is growing. It's going to surpass Great Britain's. That's how strong a united Germany is. And here comes Uncle Sam, United States of America. Civil War shook it off, building up our industry, and before you know it, the United States of America's industrial capacity is greater than that of Britain and Germany combined, and it's just getting stronger. Well, Britain can't fight off everybody. They actually got along with Germany until they started building, the high seas fleet right there in the North Sea next to Great Britain, so that, that kind of scared them a little bit. So they started becoming friends with the United States. Right, instead of antagonizing America, they start, you can play in the Caribbean. We're just interested in what we got there. So the United States and Great Britain start becoming friends. Germany is going to be a pain in the butt. And if you're sitting in London in 1900 and you're trying to project what the rest of the century will look like, believe me, there's a lot of stuff out there nobody saw coming. And this three-way contest between Britain, Germany, and America, it's going to take some really weird turns. And in 1914, the worst turn of them all, the First World War. Britain and Germany going toe-to-toe. America stays out of it until the end. When this thing is over, Britain wins, but it's kind of like the end of that Rocky movie, round 15, and nobody's looking for a rematch. But yeah, there's a rematch coming, because after all the destruction, after all the blood, right? America is probably the strongest country in the world, but, United States isn't interested in that. Back into isolationism. Germany's completely ruined. So Britain's still on top, even if by default. But hey, they earned that victory in the First World War. Only problem is it's just the First World War. After the first comes the second. Could they have avoided it? Maybe, maybe not. But hey, this guy shows up and he is just full of bad news, man. He's got all kinds of plans of changing it around and maybe taking the title of the strongest country in the world away from the British. And say what you will about our friend Adolf, man, he's all in. I mean, he doesn't go half measures, this guy. It's all out or nothing. And it got pretty bad. So Second War is actually worse than the first. And at the end of the Second War in 1945, the United States is definitely on top. There's no doubt about it this time. And the United States decides it's going to stay on top and it's going to shape the world. So Britain had a nice run on top of the hill, but as you can see, America's there. And do you know this is the actual first photo of the raising of the flag at Iwo Jima? Yeah, used to the other one, but this is the one they had originally. Just I didn't like it, so they did it again. Now America's on top of the world, but she's got some competition too. Yeah, not just military and political, but apparently cameramen as well. Yeah, the Soviet Union has its own version of Iwo Jima. There they are on top of the Reichstag in Berlin with the Soviet flag. Soviet Union's a powerful country too. They've got some damage and they got to recover from it, but they're going to recover pretty fast. So we end up in 1950 with the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. The United States has the edge, but Soviet Union, they're definitely doing their best to catch up, and if you're not careful, they're going to shoot past you. Great Britain, on the other hand, is a very distant third ally with the United States. They decide to gracefully let go of their empire, unlike their friends over in France who fight and lose. So Britain just settles into a distant third, and they're going to watch the battle between the United States and the Soviet Union. Fortunately, there is no Third World War, at least not yet anyway, and America is going to win the Cold War, despite, the horrors of Vietnam, and America apparently completely lost its mind somewhere in the mid-70s after Vietnam. America does emerge victorious. In the year 1991, the Soviet flag comes down and the Soviet Union is gone, replaced by the Russian Federation. Look at that, red, blue, and white, same colors. Looks like they're trying to emulate somebody. Oh, such a good start to the end of the Cold War, and look where we are today. But don't worry about it. We're going to be fine. Or the whole world gets turned to a nuclear wasteland. One or the other, it's going to end. So after the Soviet Union fell apart, the United States in the year 2000 is on top of the world. Like you said, there's always somebody out there watching you. There's always somebody out there studying you. Yep, and I called it way back as an undergrad. I said, once the Soviet Union falls apart, because I knew communism isn't going to work, it's going to be China. So China and the United States are facing off against each other. How is this going to turn out? Only time will tell. We hope it's just a peaceful competition, but they're eyeing Taiwan, and, people get crazy sometimes when they really want something really bad. So we're just going to see how it works out, and hopefully we're going to be okay. We hope. We think. So now, I was talking to another friend of mine today about reconstructing prehistoric animals. Yeah, I do that all the time. Everybody does that all the time, right? Something like Tyrannosaurus Rex seems pretty easy to reconstruct, right? You get a complete skeleton. We got 3 or 4 complete skeletons. And you just, it's got to have legs. It's got to have muscles. We watch animals like alligators, crocodiles, even birds, see how they move. We figure out that's how something like a T-Rex would move, And so it needs those kind of muscles, size of the muscles, biomechanics, all sorts of things. So you get a pretty good idea of what this animal looked like. So I'm pretty confident that's what a T-Rex looked like. But, reconstructing an animal isn't always easy, not just extinct animals, sometimes present-day animals. Yeah, so they found some people who knew nothing about, paleontology or biomechanics or anything. They gave them a skull and said, hey, see, what was animal look like? So they had the skull, and they say how aliens reconstruct an animal. These were college students, but some of these people I've met, I really wonder what planet they're from. And that's what they came up with in the center. And it's really a hippopotamus. So sometimes when people are reconstructing fossils or extinct animals, there's a little bit of wiggle room and you really start to wonder. Now, if you think they went off base here with the hippopotamus, wait till you see the elephant. Right? Handed him a skull. What does the animal look like? Right? And they came up with that, looking like something out of the Odyssey or the Iliad over here, Cyclops. It's actually an elephant. That's really surprising. So we went back to looking at the T-Rex, and like I said, I'm convinced they're about 95% right. There might be a few things a little bit off. And, sometimes people are really off. In 1663, they discovered some fossils, didn't know what they were, and put together exactly what they had. See, because you usually don't find a full skeleton. So you kind of have to guess based on other fossils of other animals, and you put the whole thing together. Well, over in Magdeburg, Germany, they discovered this and called it the Magdeburg unicorn, which is the worst fossil reconstruction in history, because no way is that right. Now, they didn't know, or maybe they did know and decided to just go playing around, but what they found were the remains of a woolly rhinoceros from the Ice Age. Clearly, they didn't have all the parts. And I don't know what those are the legs of, but it has nothing to do with a rhinoceros. So they had some fun and say, this is what it would look like. All right, man. Like I said, looks like Germany's school system failed somebody pretty bad, too. Or maybe they were drinking some schnapps when they found this thing and decided to put it together. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to run. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work there. So my friend there at Paleoanalysis, I saw a whole video on that one time. I was too busy laughing. I had tears coming my eyes. I had to watch it a second time. Like I said, sometimes the reconstruction of extinct animals is not easy, but you can tell when somebody's really screwed it up. So back to T-Rex. This is the one most of us have grown up with, and like I said, I'm pretty sure it's 95% accurate. And most people agree. That's kind of what they look like. But the disagreement begins with feathers, right? Did dinosaurs have feathers? There's some fossil evidence indicating it. Maybe they did, but was it really this feathered? What color are the feathers, too? I got a feeling this is not very accurate. I don't think it was multicolored. I mean, we don't know. We don't have a time machine. If we go back and it turns out that way, then I'll admit I'm wrong. But I don't think it looked like that. And some other people come up with this interpretation, which might be a little bit closer. But I don't know. Did T-Rex, was it furry like a baby chick that just hatched or something? It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. It seems like an animal with that kind of feathers, that borderline hair, would get really dirty really fast, and be prone to diseases and such. But, we don't know 100%. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to meet you halfway. Yeah, we're going to stick kind of with the traditional scaly T-Rex along with a few feathers that look like hair. Huh? How about a little bit here, a little bit there? Even put on top of the head there for you, right? Maybe he combed it at times. I don't know how he's going to comb it. Arms aren't long enough. So, there it is. The original bed head. Maybe it looks something like that. And if you're looking at it from this view, I'm just going to say, nice knowing you, right? There's one thing about a T-Rex. You only get one view, and sometimes it's the only view you're going to get. Hey, what team is that? Any idea? Nah, you're not going to know who that is. I didn't know who that was. That is a photo from 1937 in full color of the team in red and black is the Cleveland Rams. Yeah, the Cleveland Rams. Some teams are basically nomads, unlike the Steelers, who have been in Pittsburgh from their existence and will be there all the way into the end of time. Some teams move around a lot. And I was thinking about the Rams, and then I realized how many times this team has moved and how many stadiums they've called home. Oh, it is frightening. It is dizzying, man. So the Rams actually started off in Cleveland, of all places. Yeah, there they are. Even got the business card. The Cleveland Rams. I cut it off there a little bit. So there they were in Cleveland. And, they've got to have a place to play in Cleveland. So where were they playing? Well, there's a place called League Park. It's used to be on the corner of 66 and something else, if you know Cleveland pretty well. It was also the original home for the Cleveland, at the time, Indians baseball team. And that's where the Rams used to play. And it's not a very big stadium. We're looking, they say 25K, but that can't be right. So they played there for a while until it got torn down. They also played at Shaw Stadium, which is still around. It's a high school stadium now, but yep, NFL used to play there a very long time ago, back in the 30s and 40s. There it is. Shaw Stadium, still around. Just walk around and say, hey, the Rams used to play here. And they're just going to look at you and wonder what's wrong with you. Probably a lot. I get that look too sometimes. They also played in Old Cleveland Stadium. I call it Old Cleveland Stadium because where the Browns used to play before, the new stadium was built. And people call it Old Cleveland Stadium because it was always old. It always looked old. It was built in the 20s, and it looked like that the day it began and the day they tore it down. Yeah, the Browns used to play there. So did the Cleveland, at the time, Indians. So it meant the Rams, Cleveland Rams, played there as well. Just a beat-up looking stadium, but hey, you got to play somewhere, and that's where they played. Always kind of a unique looking stadium too. See those rails over there holding up the deck? Yeah, they had seats right behind it so you couldn't really see the field. Who's going to buy that seat, man? If you get stuck with that seat, I'm looking for a money back or at least a couple free hot dogs or something. Yeah. Well, they didn't stay there forever. The Rams eventually left, and they're going to go to Los Angeles. That's the team most people know, the Los Angeles Rams there. Blue and yellow, got the curly Q horn there in the helmet. So it says 1947, but they really went there in 1946. So I guess somebody made a mistake. There the Rams playing in L.A. in 1946. There's Kenny Washington, a running back. What do you notice about that picture? Okay, there's a crowd, people actually watching. Yeah, people interested in the Rams in L.A. Yeah, good. Yeah, look at that helmet. Yeah, see, it's got the Ram logo on it. The Rams were the first team to paint insignias on their helmet. Yeah, no one else did that. They either had, a red helmet, a green helmet, white helmet, sometimes just plain brown. All right, even before the face mask was there, so they decided to decorate their helmet. The guy who decorates, Fred Gierke. There he is. I hope he doesn't play like that in real life. He's going to get really hurt. Some cornerback is really going to light him up. But yeah, he's the first guy. He's the guy who painted every single helmet. Yeah, talk about teamwork. I don't know. Was he playing full time? Was he sitting on the bench? Is that where he found time to do this? I don't know. But yeah, first time ever anybody had painted a helmet. There's the original helmet. Yeah, well, say what you will about the Rams. All they're moving, every state they've been to, somehow they've kept track of this helmet. So good job. There's the current helmet. You see that little blue gap there? It's supposed to represent a wave from the Pacific Ocean and a ram's horn. Now, some people don't like that. Be honest with you, I never actually noticed until someone told me about it. That seems like much ado about nothing. You won a Super Bowl in 2021. Be happy about that. That's what you argue about. Well, the Rams, after they moved from Cleveland to L.A., they played there in the L.A. Coliseum. That's always been my favorite stadium. I like those arches in the background. Here's a picture from the NFL Championship in 1950. There are the Rams against, look at that, the Cleveland Browns. They used to play in the same stadium that time. Different leagues, of course. The Browns came from the All-American Football Conference, now in the NFL. So the Browns come on out to L.A. and they beat the Rams right there in the championship in front of a home crowd. That crowd's bigger than anything the Rams ever got in Cleveland. And the following year, believe it or not, the Rams would beat the Browns for the NFL championship back in Cleveland Stadium, the place they used to play in briefly. So kind of ironic. Here's the LA Coliseum. Looks like the 60s or 70s. So the Rams would play in the LA Coliseum all the way up until 1979. They wanted to leave the Coliseum because it was, quote unquote, not modern enough. All right. And they never went to a Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl era, the Rams would not go until their final year in the Coliseum. And 1979 was a rough year for the Rams, too. They were 4-5 at one point. They lost their starting quarterback. They got booed off the field in their last home game, a loss to the Saints. And somehow this team, hurt and battered, fought its way into the Super Bowl. Yeah, Super Bowl 14 in Pasadena, right up the road in the Rose Bowl. That's the good news. Bad news, played against my Steelers. You know how this is going to turn out, right? Steelers are going to win. Rams did put up a big fight, though. I'll give them that. Steelers won 31-19, got a TD at the end to kind of, get some distance away. But the Rams, as maligned as they were, everyone thought they were going to get destroyed. They played Pittsburgh tough until collapsing at the end. And the Rams won a respect and victory they couldn't ever get in defeat. And they took all this respect and blew it by moving to Anaheim Stadium. I mean, look at this place. You think that's an improvement over the Coliseum? First of all, it's a baseball stadium. Hey, what gave it away? Maybe the baseball diamond over it's going halfway into the field? I don't know. The California Angels home stadium, that's what Anaheim Stadium is. The Rams will play there for 15 uninspired years until 1994. They play in Anaheim. It's a suburb of LA, so it still comes with the Los Angeles Rams. But yeah, that place, it just looks wrong. I mean, look at that. Some of the seating just doesn't work out. Like I said, you got the infield in the middle of the field over there, man. Oh, you can't be serious. This is the place you wanted to leave the Coliseum for. Give me a break. Well, they're going to leave L.A. Yep, they end up moving to St. Louis. Yeah, did not see that one coming. There they are, the Edward Jones Dome. It was built just for the Rams. State of the art for 1995, and it wasn't ready when the 95 season began. So, they're playing in Busch Stadium, out there in the open. Played there for 3 games, and then the Eddie Jones Dome, Transworld Dome at the time, was open, and back we go there, and they get to play indoors over there. And they win a Super Bowl while they're in St. Louis in 1999. They went back in 2001 and lost. Since 2004, they didn't really do anything. 2004 to 2015, bunch of losing seasons, didn't make the playoffs, and they start whining about getting a new stadium. Okay, this stadium is barely old enough to vote, basically. Hasn't been there very long, and they want a new stadium. Problem is St. Louis is broke. Okay, so they end up leaving St. Louis. Really, you left St. Louis. You left Cleveland, you left LA, you're leaving St. Louis. Where are they going now? You ready for this? I hope you're sitting down. Yep, back to LA they go. And guess where they're playing? Back in the Coliseum again. All right, isn't that the place you left? Sometimes things come back around. History repeats itself. Can't see the arches too well, can you? No, because they got to put luxury boxes in there. And those are temporary luxury boxes. Look like those things you have a Boston fern hanging out of, right? So they're playing there while they build their forever home, SoFi Stadium. And they played there for 4 years. I enjoyed watching them play. Even though I'm not a Rams fan, I just liked the stadium. But they eventually, and it was supposed to be in 2019, they had to push that back to 2020. They played 4 years in the Coliseum. I think you should play a preseason game there every year. That'd be kind of cool. But here's SoFi Stadium, and look at the size of this thing. Now, back in St. Louis, they wanted a stadium built at taxpayer expense, and they weren't going for that because St. Louis was basically broke. LA doesn't have any money either, so this thing, all $2 billion, it was actually privately financed, so I'll give them that. And SoFi Stadium is not just a stadium, it's this huge, complex here. This is a picture, it's not even done yet. It's got the stadium, you got malls, you got shopping centers, everything around it. It's almost like the football game is kind of a auxiliary feature to this thing. And when you look inside, wow, I mean, this is amazing. And I don't like it, to be honest with you. I don't. I don't like the artificial turf. I don't like the roof on it. It's clear roof and sunlight comes through, I'll give you that. But this big palatial estate, this is the kind of thing NFL stadiums have been moving towards lately. And, of course, the Dallas Cowboys had to start this thing with Jerry World. And Jacksonville wants a stadium like this, even though nobody goes to see the games there. LA's got their stadium like this. Some other ones are coming down the pike, and it just bothers me. It just seems too artificial. You're getting away from the roots of the game. You know, maybe I'm a little old school there, but Heinz Field / Acrisure Stadium, that's what a football stadium is supposed to look like. Outdoors, whatever the weather is, good day, bad day, I don't know. But I do know one thing. For all you guys are saying, SoFi is the future. Maybe it is. But hey, the Rams, you've got 2 Super Bowls in 2 cities. We have 6 in the same city. And yeah, number 7's coming up soon. So you just remember that. You guys have yourself a great day. Go outside. Play football the way it was meant to be. Or just walk around outside. Whatever it is you want to do. But for sake of all that is holy, get out from under the roof and enjoy the sun. Or rain. Or snow. Because that's what you are meant to do. Walk around outside and try not to get sick. Have a great day, and I will see you next time. До свидания.